Hello and welcome to yet another video. This is the 9th episode of the story, in which Uzumaki Naruto awakens one day to discover that his life has been transformed into an RPG game due to his gamer ability. What should he do about it? Naruto is smart. This story is from Seer King. Please support him, her. Please like and subscribe to show your support. Let's get the show started. Later disused clearing. Forest on the outskirts of Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto landed in the clearing with a large scroll slung over his back. He had even changed back to his casual getup to keep Mizuki from getting suspicious. While the scroll on his back was not the forbidden scroll of seals, it had not taken his Gigi long to whip up a very convincing fake. He'd even placed a few jutsu in it for Naruto to have a look at while he waited for the newest Nukenin of Konoha to arrive. His Gigi's plan was simply to allow Naruto to trick the man into showing his hand while he, and a few other ninja, watched via his crystal ball. That had been interesting to find out about. He'd always that the thing was little more than a pretty paperweight. Instead it was a Fuinjutsu device linked to the village's defensive barriers that allowed it to be used as a focus for the Tomegain no Jutsu, telescope technique, anywhere within Konoha. The quest that his gamer power had generated had been an even more interesting motivator. Quest alert. The hatred of a traitor, Toji Mizuki, your second teacher at the academy, has tried to trick you into betraying Konoha by stealing the forbidden scroll of seals. You took it to the Hokage, who has arranged a plan to expose his treason. And you play a starring role in it, by the way. Quest objective. Deceive Toji Mizuki and make him confess his plans for the watching ninja, then survive for 2 minutes against him in combat until the ANBU arrive to take him into custody. Bonus Objective 1. Before Toji Mizuki arrives at the clearing, learn at least one jutsu from the fake scroll of seals in your possession. Bonus Objective 2. Learn all of the jutsu in the fake scroll of seals before Toji Mizuki arrives in the clearing. Bonus Objective 3. Defeat Toji Mizuki before the ANBU arrive in the clearing. Secret Objective. Main Quest Reward, plus 1000 reputation with Konohagakure no Sato Shinobi Forces, plus 500 reputation with and promotion to Genin, plus 20,000 Ryo, random A-rank Jutsu Scroll. Bonus Reward 1. Plus 500 reputation with plus 500 reputation with and plus 10,000 Ryo, 3 random Fuinjutsu scrolls. Bonus Reward 2. Plus 1000 reputation with plus 1000 reputation with and plus 10,000 Ryo, 6 random Fuinjutsu scrolls. Bonus Reward 3. Minus 500 reputation with Namadate Tsubaki, plus 500 reputation with Konohagakure Shinobi Forces, plus 500 reputation with Konohagakure ANBU, bounty for capturing C-rank Nukenin, random reward, Toji Mizuki's Shinobi equipment. Secret Objective Reward. The quest had auto-accepted, which was irksome. Not to mention new. Still, he would have accepted it anyway. The chance to grind one Toji Mizuki's face into the ground for all the crap he'd put him through was too good to pass up. The rewards were just the icing on the cake. Heaving the scroll onto the ground, he unfurled it and quickly skimmed through it to see just what he had to work with. The Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shuriken Shadow Clone Jutsu, the Sashuriken no Jutsu, Manipulated Shuriken Jutsu, the Ninpo, Shuriken Ranbu, Ninja Art, Shuriken Wild Dance, Ninpo, Shuriken Goshin, Ninja Art, Shuriken Giant Body, and Ninpo, Kage Shuriken, Ninja Art, Shadow Shuriken? Naruto read out loud with a frown. Aside from the Shuriken version of his Shadow Clone Jutsu and the Shuriken Giant Body technique, which were an A and a low C-ranked respectively, they were all D-rank jutsu. Then again, he didn't have that many non-elemental ninjutsu, so this was a good thing. Plus he'd possibly be able to show them to Tenten when he had the time. Naruto spotted a note on the bottom of the scroll. Naruto-kun, forgive me, but I must admit to being curious as to exactly how your gamer power will affect your ability to learn new technique without accessing the scroll-devouring aspect of it, so I have not supplied individual scrolls for these jutsu. I will be expecting a verbal report on the matter after your mission is complete. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Makes sense. I've told Gigi that I can learn jutsu using my gamer abilities power to devour scrolls and textbooks and via the normal way, but I don't think I've ever shown him the second one. He thought with a nod. Looking at the jutsu, he decided that the easiest jutsu to try and learn would be the Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, as he already knew a different version of it. Unfortunately, it was not as easy as he first thought. Usually, it only took him 6 or so attempts to make a jutsu work, but with this one it took him just over 2 dozen. When he finally managed to get the skill down, he discovered why. Congratulations! You have learned the Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, active, LV1, Midnight. The Shuriken Shadow Clone technique was created by the Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, and is considered one of his signature techniques, remaining a mainstay in his arsenal for the entirety of his career since he first developed it while still training under the Nidaime Hokage, Tobarama Senju. Forming solid, material copies of an object using only chakra is considerably more difficult than copying the user's own body, thus this jutsu is rated A rank, rather than B rank like its parent technique, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. At higher levels, the user can even use this jutsu on the larger Fuma Shuriken, increasing its lethality. Hand signs: Ox Dog Dragon Rat Dog Boar Snake Tiger. Requires at least 1 real shuriken in order to be used. Costs 50 CP to use. Once activated, 11 copies of the thrown shuriken will appear around it, with their damage being exact copies of the base damage of the original. Should multiple shuriken be thrown, copies of them will be made as well, with copies being made of up to 3 additional shuriken aside from the first. So making shuriken with his chakra was tougher than making clones of himself with his chakra. Who knew? The blonde orphan immediately moved on to the simplest of the remaining 4 jutsu, the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. Unlike the other jutsu on the scroll, this technique required no chakra or hand seals to perform, simply requiring excellent timing and a bit of sleight of hand, and Naruto had always been rather good with his hands. Congratulations! You have learned the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu. Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, instant, LV1, Midnight. The Shadow Shuriken Jutsu is a simple sleight of hand trick used to conceal one thrown shuriken in the shadow of another. More complicated than it appears at first, the user has to throw both in one motion and synchronize the rotation of both in order to keep the lower one concealed perfectly in the shadow of the higher one. While useful, it is easily seen through if the target ducks down to avoid the visible shuriken. Costs 0 CP to use. No hand signs necessary. Requires 2 identical shuriken in order to be used. When used, the second shuriken counts as being in stealth, and any bonus skills you have that affect damage from stealth apply. Reduces the chance of the second shuriken being seen by the target from their perspective by 30%. A pretty useful jutsu, to boot. A chakraless, hand signless jutsu is a pretty useful tool to have up your sleeve. Lots of people underestimated the simple jutsu out there. Next on the agenda was the Sashuriken no Jutsu. Being able to control shuriken from a distance was a pretty cool trick, and fortunately, his Gigi had provided lengths of almost transparent ninja wire to use for it. It took another quarter of an hour, because it took 5 minutes to realize that he needed an actual target to use the jutsu against, and another few attempting to make a target kun before he realized he could just use an IWA bunshin. He then spent another minute cursing himself out before actually learning the jutsu. Congratulations! You have learned the Sashuriken no Jutsu. Sashuriken no Jutsu, active, LV1, Midnight. The manipulated shuriken jutsu is an application of wirework, used by ninja when the use of chakra is either impossible or inadvisable for one reason or another. Attaching threads to one or more shuriken and throwing them, the user can direct the shuriken in mid-flight, with an expert only needing a twitch of a finger to change their course and attack the enemy. With a sufficiently imaginative mind, the tactics one can use are virtually endless. No hand signs necessary. Costs 0 CP to use. Requires at least one shuriken to have one length of ninja wire attached to it. Once in action, the user can manipulate the shuriken in any direction once in flight, within reason, but, initially at least, large and obvious hand motions are necessary to control them. With practice, that can and will be reduced to slight finger twitches. If used to attack the enemy from an unexpected direction, the damage of the shuriken is increased by 10 and the chance for a critical hit is increased by 10%. Naruto was starting to see the trend. Even if he had bucket loads of chakra to throw around, his lesser chakra control skill was not helping much in stopping him from wasting chakra with every jutsu he used. Eventually, he'd run out. Having jutsu that didn't require chakra to use as a backup for when / if it happened would be useful. The next one he tackled was the Shuriken Ranbu jutsu, which basically sounded like a powerful version of his cluster throw skill. And sure enough, when he acquired the skill. Congratulations! You have learned Ninpo Shuriken Ranbu. Similar skill found. Cluster throw, LV10, has been absorbed into Ninpo Shuriken Ranbu. Ninpo Shuriken Ranbu is now level 6. Ninpo Shuriken Ranbu, instant, LV6, 48.97, Ninja Art, Shuriken Wild Dance combines slight chakra enhancement of the arms with a double handful of shuriken, resulting in a powerful technique. This technique can be combined with numerous draw techniques, infusion techniques and other aspects of the ninja arts to further increase the potential of this already useful technique. Please note that in order for this technique to be used to its best, a holster on both legs is required. 15% chance to fumble the shuriken. No hand signs necessary to use. Adds plus 15 to the damage of each shuriken. Costs 10 CP per shuriken. Wonder why that happened. Naruto blinked before shrugging. Cluster throw had only been a skill, not a jutsu / skill like Shuriken Ranbu was. Maybe jutsu skills were superior to ordinary skills and subsumed skills that matched them exactly or a part of them, even. It was worth thinking about. The last jutsu was Ninpo Shuriken Goshin. That was an odd one, enlarging a shuriken to twice the size of a Fuma shuriken, or enlarging a Fuma shuriken to twice the size of a 4-person dining table. Big, obvious and as subtle as how he had been months ago, stealth abilities aside. How it could be useful, he didn't know. Congratulations! You have learned Ninpo Shuriken Goshin. Ninpo Shuriken Goshin, instant, LV1, Midnight, Ninja Art, Shuriken Giant Body was created by Sarutobi Hiruzen during his time as a member of Team Tobirama. While it may initially seem to be unsubtle, it can be more nuanced than it first appears. By expanding the target shuriken at just the right moment, the enemy who thought they had avoided a shuriken by the barest of margins ends up with a surprise injury, something that can influence the course of battle. Hand sign, Tiger, costs 45 CP to use. Requires either a single standard shuriken or a single Fuma shuriken in order to be used. Upon execution of the jutsu, the target shuriken expands to a size determined by what it is. A regular shuriken will grow to twice the size of a Fuma shuriken, while a Fuma shuriken will grow to twice the size of a 4-person dining table. The damage of the shuriken is then changed to reflect its new size. A shuriken's new damage will be that of a standard Fuma shuriken plus 20, while a Fuma shuriken's damage will be tripled. Naruto blinked. That was a pretty good jutsu. It was only useful so long as the enemy didn't expect it, or otherwise as a distraction, but inside those limits, it was very useful. He made a note to not underestimate jutsu again based on their initial description. Well, now I don't have any more jutsu to learn that I'll practice, he decided. Half an hour later, office of the Hokage, Konohagakure, troublesome. Shikaku grumbled. So why re we here, Hokage-sama? I'm certain he was about to tell you when you interrupted him, Shikaku-san. Hyuga Hayashi said calmly. Agreed. Aburame Shibi stated. I was waiting for the right moment, Shikaku-san. Sarutobi said gravely. As you know, Uzumaki Naruto has made off with the forbidden scroll of seals. So people have been led to believe. As evidence, he pulled the scroll up from where it had been resting since Naruto had left his office. Can I then ask why you have half of the shinobi forces scrambling to find Uzumaki-san if he is not, in fact, a thief? The head of the Hyuga asked delicately. Because someone is playing us for fools, gentlemen. The Hokage scowled. Somehow, one Toji Mizuki managed to get a message inside of Naruto-kun's apartment, which is under strict ANBU observation and protection, without the watchers noticing. The contents of the message were designed to try to trick Naruto-kun into stealing the scroll under the guise of a secret test for the top 10 graduates. He didn't fall for it. The perennially lazy Nara clan head stated. And he brought it to you. You're planning on entrapping Mizuki using the kid as bait and us as witnesses using the Tomgain no Jutsu. Sneaky and cold there, Hokage-sama. Looking very much unaffected by the accusations leveled at him by his Jonin commander, the Sandaime tapped a finger on the desk for a moment. Mizuki-kun has been under investigation for a number of months now. He has, at the very least, taught flawed taijutsu techniques to Naruto-kun, delivered Dr. Jutsu scrolls to Naruto-kun, attempted to casually injure Naruto-kun and supported and perhaps even helped facilitate the current nonsense at the academy. This is the last nail in his coffin. With this as evidence, he moves up from improper conduct and petty maleficence to outright treason. Naruto-kun, as the one to whom the majority of the ills have fallen upon, was eager to aid in Mizuki-kun's downfall. I can imagine. Hayashi raised an eyebrow. Though I am curious as to why this elaborate bit of subterfuge is needed. Surely there is already enough evidence to bring Toji-san up on charges? There is, agreed Hiruzen. However, there is currently some evidence that Toji-san has been acting with the aid of outside factors. With that being the case, more drastic measures are needed. Shibi made a slight sound of realization, before nodding his head in understanding. You wish to have Toji-san's guilt be completely irrefutable so that he may be placed under Ibiki-san's tender mercies, I believe is the term. An irritating, but necessary, piece of law was that without overt and absolute proof of treason, or at least significant and convincing evidence of treason, a member of the Konohagakure shinobi forces could not be fully interrogated as if they were an enemy shinobi. This meant no physical torture the way Mitarashi Enko liked to use, no sleep and food deprivation and so on. Psychological torture had also been limited ever since Ibiki had become the head of the TNI department. Before that, it hadn't been seen as a threat. More fool the idiots inside the village who had fallen afoul of Ibiki when he had become the head of TNI and began more and varied uses of particularly heavy levels of psychological torture as long as he could get away with it. Several people had been so traumatized by the man's tactics that they had to have regular counseling sessions. Those that were allowed to live after the information was extracted anyway. Psychological torture may not leave visible scars, but the wounds it left were far more grisly and harder to heal for that. Just so, Shibi-san. Sarutobi nodded grimly. The ones responsible for undermining the academy directly are already under Ibiki and Enko's tender mercies, but so far most have proven to be simple cat's paws. Toji Mizuki has, at first glance, been only peripherally involved in the matter, another pawn in play, but several factors do not add up. He has been peripherally involved in all aspects of the Academy's sabotage, even if in most minor of ways, while most of the others did not know of each other's involvement. That in and of itself raises suspicion. More so, since the investigation has begun, his behavior has become more erratic and his targeting of Naruto-kun more apparent. This speaks of far more than a simple grudge against the boy due to the Kyuubi. No, I believe that Mizuki-kun will have to be investigated in depth to discover exactly what he has been up to and on whose behalf. A wise decision. Shibi agreed. Why use Naruto-san though? An ANBU underneath a henge would be more than enough to fool a low-level chunin like Mizuki-san. According to reports given by Yumano Iraka-kun, a close friend of Mizuki-kun and the one who first brought his suspicious actions to my attention, he knows a wide variety of differing ninjutsu. The Sandame stated. This includes the Kugutsu no Jutsu, puppetry jutsu, we acquired from our treaties with Sunigakure, various Doton ninjutsu, Kenjutsu, advanced shuriken jutsu, the Muon Satsujin, silent killing, technique from Kirigakure, as well as genjutsu, kasumi, illusion, haze, and a variety of other techniques which he has not been seen using on any mission in recent years. All this speaks of a man who has grown well beyond his former skills, but is attempting to keep his growth unnoticed. Hayashi pointed out with a frown. Wasn't he initially denied the post of an academy sensei because he was suspected of killing a comrade during a mission? Shikaku frowned. The man in question received a bad injury, one that claimed his life, according to Mizuki-kun's report at the time. Sarutobi recalled with a frown. Now I am left wondering if he did in fact kill him in case the injury became a hindrance to the mission's success. If that was the case, he would have been denied a post as an academy sensei and been busted down to genin again. Just then, the door opened, revealing Sarutobi Asuma and Hatake Kakashi. Ah, Asuma-kun, Kakashi-kun. The Hokage nodded at them as the pair closed the door and walked over to stand next to the other three. How goes the search? As you'd expect, a lot of the ones who think Naruto's the Kyuubi reborn or something similar are up in arms, while everyone else is wondering who tricked him, the silver-haired Kakashi drawled. His lazy act was spoiled by the sharp look in his one visible eye. So how's Naruto doing himself? Asuma asked. He and Kakashi had been read into the plan from the outset, not that either was happy about it. In answer, Sarutobi brought out his crystal ball and activated the Tomgain no Jutsu, revealing a clearing in a forest, with a ramshackle shack to one side. To the other was the subject of the search by half of the shinobi forces currently stationed in Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto was working hard at practicing what all of the shinobi recognized as the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. It was at a modestly good level as well. So he's on the run from the entire shinobi force. And he's practicing a D-rank jutsu. Shikaku deadpanned. Not sure if I'm insulted or amused by this. It's something I gave him to pass the time. Sarutobi said with a nod. Mizuki-kun isn't due to rendezvous with him for another 0.5 minutes or so. So he's had around about 2 hours to learn and practice the 5 jutsu that I gave him in the fake scroll of seals. And, judging from how smoothly he's using the Shadow Shuriken Jutsu, he's doing fairly well. Well, it is a chakraless D-rank jutsu. Hayashi pointed out passively. One he hasn't seen before today, if I'm guessing right. Asuma pointed out mildly. After only 2 hours of practice, to have a good understanding of the jutsu is something beyond most ninja. I know that jutsu and it took me at least a week to get to the point the kid seems to be at right now. Troublesome. Shikaku grumbled as he mentally admitted that the former Guardian Ninja 12 member was perfectly correct. No matter if the jutsu was simple or not, or even used chakra or not, getting a firm grasp of how a jutsu worked, as well as any motions, movements and nuances in its usage, was not a quick process. This went especially for any jutsu that used weapons as a medium or a conduit. As a jutsu, most would consider the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu to be barely worthy of the distinction, as it was, at its base, simple. Sleight of hand and misdirection. That's what a civilian would see, at any rate. It was low-level, used no chakra and was seen through fairly easily. But it was that simplicity, lack of chakra and sleight of hand that made it a very useful technique to have at hand. When most went for flashy balls of fire and blasts of electricity, something as simple and as subtle as a second shuriken hidden beneath the first was the last thing most people expected. Many who relied on an ability to perceive or sense chakra to sense incoming attacks would be caught completely off guard simply because it required no chakra to use. For a shinobi, particularly one known to be as brash and flashy as Naruto Uzumaki was, it was the last thing most would expect to see him use. Which was probably why the Hokage had chosen it for the boy. Ah, and it's about to begin. Sarutobi said with a steely-eyed expression as Toji Mizuki appeared at the edge of the clearing. Let us see exactly what Mizuki-kun has to say for himself, then. Executing more hand signs, he enabled the Fuinjutsu arrays that permitted the crystal ball to allow sound to pass through the technique as well as sight. It made maintaining the Tomegain no Jutsu a bit more chakra-intensive, but even as old as he was, Sarutobi could maintain it for several hours. The 5 men before him gazed into the orb as the traitor approached Naruto. With Naruto, congratulations. The skill, Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, has leveled up. LV1, LV2. Nodding to himself in satisfaction, Naruto walked forward and grabbed the shuriken and gave them a quick once-over to check for damage. While their durability had dropped a couple of points, they were still good to use. Satisfied, he slipped them back into place in his holster. He'd leveled his 5 new jutsu by 1 apiece, which was pretty good going. He was going to have to get some Fuma Shuriken at some point, to make full use of both the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu and Ninpo Shuriken Goshin. Bloodlust detected. Several meters behind you. Naruto stiffened slightly as he heard the soft footfalls of someone else in the clearing and, judging by the all-too-familiar feeling of ki emanating from the person in question, it was Mizuki. Smiling quickly before putting on his best happy-go-nuts mask, Naruto turned around and beamed at the silver-haired Chunin. Toji Mizuki LV-28, traitor/nuke-nin of Konohagakure, "Hey Mizuki-sensei," he greeted the traitor. "You got here pretty quick, I only had time to get 1 jutsu down. I doubt that the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu was in the scroll." The man offered back dryly. He was dressed in his usual Chunin outfit, with the addition of a pair of large shuriken slung over his back. "No, that's something I picked up a while back." Naruto waved the idea away easily and threw 4 shuriken at the IWA bunshin that had hinged into a target kun. "Watch this Databayo. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu." To Mizuki's disbelief, he watched as the 4 shuriken multiplied into 48, slamming into the target kun across multiple vital areas. There wasn't a ninja worth their salt who hadn't heard of the shuriken version of the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Created by the Sandaime Hokage, it was a rank above the parent jutsu and was an exceptionally deadly jutsu when used correctly. There should be no way for a normal boy to learn an A-rank jutsu in just 2 hours, the Chunin thought in shock. The demon must be exerting more of its powers. In his mind, he shuddered as he remembered staring up at the enormous mountain-sized 9-tailed fox as it laid waste to Konoha. Even if he hated Konoha, even if he despised it for keeping him from his rightful position, he would not let the demon grow in strength any more than it already had and possibly destroy Konoha all over again. He may have come to hate the village for its crimes against him, but the horror of the Kyuubi unleashed was not something he would wish upon his worst enemy. "Mizuki-sensei?" Naruto said with a cocked head. "You okay? You were pulling a funny face there." Yes, just a bit of trapped wind." He lied. "What are those things on your back?" the blonde asked curiously after pausing for a moment. "Oh, these are Dai Shuriken. Mizuki patted the closest point poking over his shoulder. Essentially just large versions of a standard shuriken. They're not as impressive looking as a Fuma shuriken, but they're far more durable. I've had these two beauties for over 5 years and they've never let me down once. That's pretty cool. They expensive? Naruto eyed them thoughtfully. They can be 10,000 ryo each for an ordinary pair and about 50,000 for a good set like mine. Mizuki explained. For 70,000, you can get some with Fuinjutsu enhancements on them, although I prefer them without the extra bells and whistles. An idea occurred to Mizuki, making him suppress an evil grin. The demon had brought the scroll like the idiot that it was, and the massive purple scroll was currently leaning against a tree several feet away from the beast, all wrapped up. With a bit of trickery, he could end the demon with one strike. The big advantage to getting a superior Dai Shuriken over a regular one, Naruto-kun, he said as he unlimbered one of his Dai Shuriken, is that about 10 years ago, they discovered a method of permanently infusing an elemental affinity into chakra metal, albeit at a weak level. With water chakra metal covering the inside of the hole in the center of the Dai Shuriken, with a bit of chakra manipulation, you can do this. Doing so as he gripped the rim of the Dai Shuriken, the large thrown weapon started to spin rapidly until it was a blur, gathering dust to it as it spun. Whoa! That's awesome! Naruto exclaimed. Yes. Not only can you use it for close combat attacks, you can use it to add more power to your throw. Mizuki shouted as he flung the Dai Shuriken right at Naruto, who was only standing a couple of meters away. Once I tell them that I killed the demon because he tried to steal the scroll of seals, I'll be a hero. Mizuki exulted to himself. And I'll get the scroll to myself. Then an explosion of smoke surrounded Naruto just before the Dai Shuriken hit him. When the smoke cleared, the boy had been replaced by the target kun, which had reverted its form as an IWA bunshin and had been cut in half. What the dash? Mizuki exclaimed in shock. Missed me, Mizuki-sensei. Naruto said from half the clearing away, smirking at the silver-haired Chunin. Your aim needs some work, sensei. You couldn't hit me with a flower pot, never mind a big-ass shuriken. You, the traitor growled angrily. You foul little demon. You've known about my plan from the start, haven't you? Considering you snuck a message into a building watched by a squad of ANBU, yeah, I have. Naruto admitted with an easy shrug. Only reason to go through all that trouble for something like this is if you were trying to pull a fast one on me. TCH. So what if you figured that out? Mizuki sneered. Once I kill you, I'll take the scroll and use it to gain power. So that's all this was? An excuse to kill me legitimately and take the forbidden scroll of seals, the blonde boy asked with a raised eyebrow. Yes. Mizuki snarled. Let me tell you something good, Naruto. The reason everyone around you looks down on you? The reason that everyone hates you? It's because you are the Kyuubi. 12 years ago, the Yondaime died in order to kill you and you were reincarnated as baby. You are a mistake that I'm going to remedy right here, right now. You really are a moron, you know that? Naruto snorted in contempt, looking utterly unaffected by Mizuki's words. Well, that certainly wasn't the reaction the traitorous Chunin had expected. Mizuki's jaw dropped and he managed to get a out. I am not the Kyuubi reborn, you half-baked excuse of a ninja, the boy stated firmly. I am Uzumaki Naruto, genin of Konohagakure no Sato and the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. In other words, the Yondaime sacrificed himself to seal it within me. If I die, then the Kyuubi will be released, you idiot. Mizuki paled for a moment before shaking it off. No, he couldn't let its words get to him. You couldn't trust the words of a kitsune. He wouldn't be deceived. So what? I'll be long gone by the time the beast gets its bearings. Assuming you're even speaking the truth, brat. He sneered as he grabbed his other Dai shuriken and started it spinning. "I'll be the one to have the power of the scroll and you'll be dead." With another heave, he sent the spinning weapon hurtling at Naruto, who quickly ran through the 6 hand signs for his best defensive jutsu. "Futon, Fujin Hiki," he shouted, and a wall of wind roared into existence in front of him. The Dai shuriken slammed into it and struggled for a moment before being sent flying off to slam into a tree. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. All that work to get it to LV5 had been worth it, as that attack had dealt out 200 points of damage at least. The natural advantage that Futon Jutsu had against thrown weapons had reduced that damage down to 150, and his, Fujin Hiki, had 160 durability points. Just barely safe. Naruto wasn't sitting on his ass though. He wanted to defeat Mizuki and he could see the clock counting down from 2 minutes already, so he ran through the 6 hand signs of his next jutsu. "Katan, Hatarubi," he called out and breathed out a swarm of small fireballs. They passed straight through the Fujin Hiki, growing in size as their power was boosted by the Futon Jutsu, and flew out to attack Naruto's target, Mizuki. Doton, Doria Hiki. Earth style wall. Mizuki yelped as he made the tiger hand sign and slammed his hands on the ground, making a very crude wall emerge from the ground. The crude design and shaky construction are a result of only using a single hand sign to activate the jutsu, it could be presumed. The small fireballs, each the size of a large grapefruit thanks to the Fujin Hiki, they had passed through, and numbering at least 150, started striking the badly made Doria Hiki, each gouging out a part of the loosely packed earth that made it up. Doton, Dochu Igyo. Earth style, underground projection fish. Mizuki whispered as he sunk into the ground, abandoning his position to attempt to sneak up on the demon. He'd use Doton, Shinju Zanshu, Earth style, double suicide decapitation, to drag the brat into the ground up to his neck and then cut his head off. Naruto frowned as no counterattacks were forthcoming from Mizuki, which wasn't like him. The man should be counterattacking at this point. Then a nugget of information that his Gigi told him made him make the snake and dog hand signs. Doton, Megura Kangchi. Earth style, sensing like a mole. He whispered. It had only been 2 weeks ago that he had, once more, defeated Megura Wagira, the massive mole, and earned this jutsu. It was, put simply, Megura Wagira's ability to sense movement on and in the earth, very useful to use against people who snuck up on others underground. Such as one Toji Mizuki was doing. "Let's see you dodge this underground." "Doton, Dangon." Naruto shouted and stamped his foot. Underground, beneath an oblivious Mizuki, a menhir formed and shot up through the earth straight at the man. At the last minute, Mizuki noticed it and tried to dodge, but it was too little too late. The massive stone slammed straight into his solar plexus and started pushing him up as well. Seconds later, both menhir and man emerged from the earth, flying up into the air before separating and crashing to the ground in separate places. Toji Mizuki has had the stun status effect afflicted upon him for 30 seconds. Okay then. Eat this. Naruto grinned and clenched one fist, a dragon's head forming around it. It had taken until level 15 before the jutsu he was about to use had dropped to a sufficiently low time to charge, but it was gonna be so worth it. Futon, Ryua. Punching forwards as he shouted, Naruto unleashed the jutsu, a massively long serpentine dragon made of wind launching itself from his clenched fist. Coiling and soaring through the air, it made a beeline towards Mizuki, who had just recovered from having the wind driven out of him by a lump of stone heavier than he was. Oh crap, he paled and sunk into the ground. But his arm got clipped by the dragon, shredding his dark blue shirt sleeve and creating dozens of small cuts across his skin. Underground, the new Nuke-Nin cursed and started wrapping a bandage around the wounds on his arm that he had taken from his pouch. Damn it, how the hell is the demon this strong? He thought furiously and with not a touch of fear. It's obviously been concealing what it knows. I have to end it, quickly. Naruto was also concerned. He only had about another 30 seconds to beat Mizuki before the ANBU turned up. Fortunately, the Chunin emerged near one of his Dai Shuriken. Reclaiming his weapon in an instant, the traitorous Chunin started running towards him with it spinning furiously. "Dai, Kyubi," he bellowed, drawing his weapon back. Naruto smirked and drew his tanto. Mizuki hadn't taken any notice of them, or if he had, he dismissed their threat as minimal. His big mistake. "Futon Chakra Nagashi," he muttered, sending Futon Chakra into Tsubaki and Samaire. Naruto then executed the Hazamigiri against the incoming Dai Shuriken, cutting it in half, just barely missing the skin of Mizuki's knuckles. Mizuki leapt back, panic on his face as Naruto continued the attack. "Doton Chakra Nagashi." Naruto growled before speeding up and slamming his now very dense tanto into his former sensei's body, breaking several bones. "Gah!" the Chunin roared in pain. "I'm going to kill you and everyone you care for, demon." That made something snap inside of the blonde Uzumaki, unleashing a feral rage that flooded his mind and body. "No, you won't." Naruto roared back and, as if bidden by some unseen force, dropped his weapons to make the clone hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. In an explosion of smoke, an entire army of Naruto clones stood surrounding Mizuki, who gaped at them in shock for just an instant before they dogpiled the traitor, fists and feet slamming into every part of his body. Naruto looked bewildered. That was way more clones than he had ever summoned before. After about 10 seconds, all of his clones dispelled themselves and Naruto was presented with the sight of one badly beaten, and unconscious, Toji Mizuki. And there were still 3 seconds on the clock. He waved away the notifications until he had some alone time later. "Yada," he cheered. "Take that, bastard traitor." No sooner was the last syllable out of his mouth than the clearing was full of ANBU, 2 binding Mizuki's arms, 1 retrieving the fake scroll, and 1, the purple-haired cat-masked ANBU he was familiar with, approached him. "Genin Uzumaki, congratulations," she said with a nod at him. Not many fresh genin could take down a Chunin. "You are unharmed?" "A bit drained chakra-wise, but I'm unhurt," Naruto said after checking himself over. "The traitor's not though. I got him good in the chest with a dangan, his arms cut to hell from a Ryua, and I definitely broke some bones with the last clash we had before you all arrived, Nico-san." "So noted, Genin Uzumaki." Nico nodded again. "Hokage-sama gave orders to take you to see him after this incident was resolved, which it has now been. Saru-san and Torai-san will take the traitor to TNI for processing, while Ryu-san will accompany us to Hokage-sama." "Sighed along Shunshin again?" Naruto asked with a sigh. "Sadly, yes, Uzumaki-san." Nico replied with an amused tone to her voice as she placed one hand on his shoulder. "In 3, 2, 1. Now." In a swirl of leaves, she, Naruto and the dragon-masked ANBU vanished from the clearing. "With the Hokage, so then. Opinions, gentlemen?" Sarutobi asked as he deactivated the Tomgain no Jutsu and sat back on his chair. "Genin Uzumaki is rather skilled with ninjutsu and the Hokage taijutsu style, although his kenjutsu with his tanto leaves something to be desired," Hayashi offered simply. "He has been unable to access the library to acquire a proper style due to his civilian status. Yumano Irika has been kept busy with reorganizing the academy and Asuma has been busy getting back into the swing of missions," the Hokage said with a frown. Additionally, the staff members of the library were denying him entry even into the civilian section. "I have since fired and replaced them with good, even-minded people, so that should not be an issue from here on out." The traitor severely underestimated the kid, Shikaku said bluntly. "He was also slightly more skilled than we gave him credit for, but I do wonder about why he didn't try to use genjutsu on the kid. Says in his academy files that the Uzumaki has almost no ability to detect or dispel genjutsu." Mizuki was of the foolish opinion that Genin Uzumaki was the Kyuubi reborn, Shikaku-san. Shibi pointed out softly. Do recall that only one individual has ever been known to be able to use genjutsu on a biju. Mizuki may have been arrogant and foolish, but even he dared not compare himself to Uchiha Madara. Troublesome. Yeah, I can see that, the Jonin commander nodded. It was a pretty good combo that the kid came up with, using the Fujin Hiki to power up his Hadarubi. Asuma opined. He also seems to have some kind of sensory jutsu for detecting people underground. Pretty useful thing to have. That was Doton, Megura Kangchi. Kakashi put in. It's not a rare jutsu, but it's more commonly practiced in IWA than here. Where'd he find it? Training Ground 13. The Hokage said. It's apparently not been swept through for quite some time. So has accumulated scrolls regarding various techniques. Naruto-kun is in charge of clearing it out, an ongoing D-rank mission. Huh. The silver-haired Jonin nodded. His tactics need some work, but it looks like we've got a diamond in the rough here, Hokage-sama. The sheer number of clones he created at the end there. Agreed. Shibi nodded. He has also mastered the Kawarimi no Jutsu to the point of not needing hand signs or verbal intonation. Not something that you would expect from a Genin dot or even most fresh Chunin. One does not usually reach such a level with it until they are approaching Tokubetsu or even full Jonin level. Thank you. As to Toji Mizuki, he is to be interrogated by Ibiki personally. Every scrap of information he has will be extracted and he will be sent to the Konoha Strict Correctional Facility once that is completed. The duration of his sentence will be determined depending on what information Ibiki extracts from him. Sarutobi states firmly, his eyes determined. Nico-san and Naruto-kun ought to be here shortly, so you five are dismissed. Kindly write up everything you saw and heard on the crystal ball and hand it in before Monday. Asuma, come by tomorrow. I have something I need to inform you about. SS rank. His son's eyebrows shot up in shock, but he pulled himself together and nodded at his father. Hi, Hokage-sama. Not long after the five men left, Nico led Ryu and Naruto in. Studying the boy in person made the Hokage feel a bit more at ease. No wounds and only a minor case of chakra depletion that was already rapidly recovering. Sarutobi often found himself somewhat envious of how rapidly the boy's chakra regenerated. It would serve him well as a shinobi. Nico-san, Ryu-san, Naruto-kun. He greeted them all. Nico-san, report. Hokage-sama. Nico nodded. The traitor Toji Mizuki was defeated by Genin Uzumaki seconds before my squad arrived on the scene. Saru and Tori are securing him and taking him to the TNI department. Ryu has the scroll of seals and Genin Uzumaki is completely unharmed. Excellent work. Sarutobi nodded. Kindly go and call off the search for Naruto-kun and give the prepared story to them. Hi, Hokage-sama. Nico nodded again. After Ryu handed over the fake scroll, the two ANBU vanished in puffs of smoke. So Naruto-kun. How was it, fighting Mizuki? The Hokage asked his surrogate grandson. After all the crap that guy's given me over the last year, it was very. What's the word? Naruto blinked as he tried to think of the right word. Starts with a C. Means satisfying. Cathartic, the Sandame suggested with a knowing smirk. Yeah, that's it, the new Genin nodded enthusiastically. Man, he was a tricky one, much harder than fighting the chakra mutations because he could actually use jutsu. If I hadn't gotten my hands on the Megura Kangchi no Jutsu, he might have gotten me though. Yes. Doton is a very underappreciated element, but as Mizuki demonstrated, it can be used in a variety of ways. The Hokage nodded. Now, as you successfully captured Mizuki, you have earned his bounty. That would be a C-rank Nukenin's bounty. As well as all of his ninja tools and jutsu scrolls. I am afraid that his fiancée will be upset with you though. Tsubaki-san, right? Naruto asked with a sigh. Yeah, my power already told me I'd take a hit with her, reputation-wise. Can't be helped though. The guy was nuts, thinking I was the Kyuubi reborn and all that. Hatred can destroy people, as I told you a few months ago, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi sighed sadly. Mizuki-kun was, in all probability, once a loyal member of Konoha, but after witnessing the Kyuubi attack and a certain incident twisting his values, he became the man who attacked you today. A sad happenstance, for the Chunin forces are the mainstay of the military power of a hidden village. Losing one to his own hatred and greed is not something that is a cause for celebration, but it had to be done. Naruto nodded solemnly. He personally felt that getting shot of Mizuki was for the better, but his Gigi had to think about the military situation in Konoha as a whole, so the boy said nothing. Anyway, congratulations on graduating, Naruto-kun. The Hokage said warmly. Given your performance today, I believe you will do well in our forces. Have this as a graduation present from me. Reaching under the desk, Sarutobi pulled out a green haori with the kanji for wind emblazoned on the back. That's part of the Greater Fujin set. Naruto exclaimed in shock. Yes. I had a look through the Sarutobi clan's storehouse and found that one of our members 10 years ago was a futon primary and doton secondary much as you are. He wore this until he became a chunin and gained access to better equipment. The Sandame said. I reimbursed the clan for its value and had it checked over and repaired to its original glory before giving it to you. I think it'll suit you quite well. Thanks, Gigi, the orphan exclaimed and used, observe, on it. Greater Fujin Haori, emblazoned with the kanji for wind in the center of its back, this Haori is perfect for one who aspires to use futon ninjutsu, as it is said that the one who wears it will find their futon ninjutsu to be greatly empowered. Part of the Greater Fujin set. Level 17 requires level 5 futon affinity. Def plus 50 Effect 1, Futon Assault Empowerment. Increase the damage dealt by all offensive futon ninjutsu by 5%. Effect 2, Futon Defensive Empowerment. Increase the durability of all futon defensive ninjutsu and constructs by 5%. Effect 3, Futon Blade Enhancement. Increase the attack power and durability of all futon ninjutsu that involve blades by a further 5% in addition to any other power-ups. Naruto grinned. He was just a short time away from gaining the 5th level of his natural primary futon affinity, so this was perfect. Also, take this. Sarutobi gave Naruto a square token with a C carved onto it. This bounty authorization token allows you to claim a bounty from the main desk. Nico-san should have posted Mizuki's bounty down there as she passed, so you can claim the reward. If you have any problems, tell me and I'll have Nico-san politely explain the situation. The grimly amused expression on the Hokage's face told Naruto that Nico-san would be using her sword to do her talking if anyone was stupid enough to ignore an official token from the Hokage's own hand. Got it, Gigi. Naruto nodded. Before you go, I have something to tell you, Naruto-kun. Sarutobi said seriously. As you know, you'll be put onto a team on Monday. Unfortunately, the last 5 years of your lessons at the academy have been sabotaged. Not just you, but your entire class. Irika-kun is going through the old syllabus and comparing it with the one you were taught under to see exactly what parts have been altered and curtailed. Why would they weaken our training? The Uzumaki boy didn't know whether to be angry or baffled. Civilians. The Sandame shook his head in irritation. A lot of them are indignant about the status that Shinobi get in Konoha, so they wanted to have more of their children in positions of prestige and power to possibly enact changes at a later date. They didn't like their children's chances with the old curriculum, so they bribed key personnel at the academy, including the headmaster, to weaken it, letting more civilians graduate. It didn't stop the Jonin from weeding out the unworthy with their tests, but to be fair to the better among the civilian-born, 9/10 of them passed the test the following year. Indignant. About ninja having power and influence. In an actual ninja village. Naruto stated slowly, as if to enunciate the words aloud would have them make more sense to him. They didn't. You should have the medics crack them open for research on how stupid people can get without having a brain, Gigi. Sarutobi stifled a chuckle. As fun as that sounds, Naruto-kun, that's only permitted in times of war and only on spies, traitors, and particularly infamous enemy shinobi. Anyway, the point is that even as officially graduated genin, your class will have many holes in your education. You, just for an example, are the only one who has been blooded against chakra mutations, whereas the class should have been taken to a chakra-saturated training ground to get their first kills 3 months ago. You also lack sufficient training in regards to resisting and breaking genjutsu. Had Mizuki thought with his head rather than with his prejudices, he may have gained the upper hand against you. Naruto winced. Yeah, why chakra control just isn't good enough. It's called lesser chakra control for a start and it's barely at level 20. Using any kind of weak genjutsu needs me to get an increasingly high amount of chakra control. The more chakra I get, the higher the requirement is. I might as well try juggling horses with one hand tied behind my back for all the good my chakra control does me. What about detecting and dispelling genjutsu? The Hokage asked curiously. I have to max out lesser chakra control in order to be able to detect and dispel genjutsu. Naruto almost growled in frustration. I won't be using any kind of genjutsu in my life, barring some kind of super awesome power-up. So long as you can defend yourself against it, that is enough. Sarutobi nodded. Will it become a skill that you can level up, do you think? I think it will. Naruto said uncertainly. Most techniques that can be advanced like normal can be turned into skills, even something as mundane as dishwashing. There is still much that I fail to understand about your power, Naruto-kun, and the part where you develop seemingly inane and useless skills like that is one of them. Sarutobi said with a shake of his head after a moment to mentally boggle at that example. Join the club. The boy grumbled. Still, it is encouraging that you will be able to advance your skills in countering genjutsu, even if casting them is beyond you. The Hokage nodded to himself. Anyway, in order to counter the holes in your educations, all teams will, after being formally accepted by their Jonin sensei, be regularly given inter-team training. A veteran team has volunteered to help train you all as well. The former Team 9. Team Guy, which has young Ten on it. I get to train with Ten-chan on a regular basis? Thanks, GG. Naruto yelled excitedly. Noting the affectionate honorific directed at the tomboy weapons mistress for later blackmail and or teasing, Sarutobi smiled at his surrogate grandson's excitement. It won't be with just Tenten-chan. He gently reminded Naruto. You'll have to spar against the others as well. I will. The Uzumaki boy nodded obediently. Very good. Please keep this to yourself until the time of the first inter-team training session. Sarutobi requested. Now, off home with you. You deserve a good night's sleep after bringing in a traitor on your very first day as a genin, he finished with a laugh. Gotcha, GG. You get some sleep too, you need it. Naruto shot back at him as he left, leaving Sarutobi to roll his eyes. He hadn't gone to bed before midnight since halfway through his first reign as Hokage. Hokage-sama. An ANBU appeared in a puff of smoke not 10 minutes later. Some members of the search party are asking to speak with you regarding Naruto-san. Kindly tell them that Naruto-kun said to say that they have been pranked. Sarutobi smirked. And that he was standing in roughly the same spot for almost 2 hours, so he was most disappointed that no one was able to find him. That is an evil thing to do to Naruto-san, the ANBU observed. He likely would have said something like that had he thought of it as a prank rather than a mission. The Hokage pointed out fairly. As it is, we need an excuse to tell everyone regarding the incident that does not involve Mizuki's treachery. There has already been too big of a shakeup at the academy without throwing further accusations of treachery and treason at them. A last, wide-scale prank by Naruto-kun would fit this situation, and it is a further explanation beyond what Nico-san told them earlier. Nico had told them that it was a classified incident, but Naruto had not been treacherous or treasonous. This would simply make them indignant against his pranks. And sure enough, a few minutes after the ANBU left. That blonde bastard. Music to my ears. The old man smirked as he started on the next mound of paperwork that this day had piled up on his desk. I wonder how it will be for Naruto-kun to be on the receiving end of a prank for a change. With Naruto living room, Naruto's apartment, Amikage apartments, all of a sudden, Naruto was struck by a shiver going down his spine. He felt as if someone was plotting against him in a non-malicious fashion that was still going to be a pain to deal with. Shaking that feeling for the moment, Naruto turned his attention to the multifarious messages floating around him. With a small mental command, he organized them into order and then started reading them. It was one of the tricks he had learned that wasn't a skill. You have delivered a series of critical blows to Toji Mizuki. He has had the broken bones, ribs, hip, debuff inflicted upon him. Congratulations. You have defeated Toji Mizuki. Experience cannot be gained as you have maxed out your class level cap. As this is quite the hefty chunk of EXP, it will be deferred until after you class up. Quest complete. The hatred of a traitor, you successfully tricked Toji Mizuki into revealing his plans to the watching Hokage. Quest reward, plus 1000 reputation with Konohagakure no Sato Shinobi forces, plus 500 reputation with and promotion to Genin, plus 20,000 Ryo, Suetun, Daibakufu no Jutsu, scroll. Bonus Objective 1, you successfully learned one jutsu from the fake scroll of seals, before Toji Mizuki showed up. Bonus Objective 1 reward, plus 500 reputation with plus 500 reputation with and plus 10,000 Ryo, Fuinjutsu, Fuinyu no Jutsu, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Shikoku Fuin, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Ofuda Kekai. Bonus Objective 2, much to unanimous amazement, you were able to learn all 5 of the jutsu in the fake scroll of seals, without using the scroll absorption system. Kudos to you. Bonus Objective 2 reward, plus 1000 reputation with plus 1000 reputation with and plus 10,000 Ryo, Fuinjutsu, Kai, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Sanpo Fuin, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Zentai Kensa, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Fukahoin, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Kyaku Fuin, scroll, Fuinjutsu, Ninoshibari no Jutsu. Bonus Objective 3. You successfully went above and beyond what was expected of you by the Hokage and ANBU and successfully defeated the Nukenin Toji Mizuki in one-on-one combat, with seconds to spare on the clock. Bonus Objective 3 reward, minus 500 reputation with Namadate Tsubaki, plus 500. Reputation with Konohagakure Shinobi Forces, plus 500 reputation with Konohagakure ANBU, bounty for capturing C-rank Nukenin, 200,000 Ryo, Greater Fujin Haori, Toji Mizuki's Shinobi equipment. Quest completed. Growing a cherry blossom, with hard work and grit, the formerly borderline wimpy Sakura is just barely hitting the average for fitness amongst active duty genin. Good work. Quest reward, plus 750 EXP, deferred until after class up, plus 600 relationship with Haruno Sakura, Fuma Shuriken, foldable type. Congratulations. You have successfully earned your position as a genin-ranked shinobi of Konohagakure. The title, Genin, has been added to your list of titles. The title, Bounty Hunter, has been added to your list of titles as a result of bringing in a Nukenin. You have now classed up. Level restriction has been upgraded to 40. You have acquired the accumulated experience from the defeat of Toji Mizuki in completing the hatred of a traitor, and, growing a cherry blossom, quests. You gain 17,750 EXP. Phew. That's a lot of stuff to go through. Naruto shook his head. All of it was good news though, getting on the good sides of the regular shinobi forces and ANBU couldn't be anything else. There was the downside that Mizuki's fiancée was going to be pissed at him, but there was nothing he could do about that. All of the Fuinjutsu scrolls would be useful, as his repertoire was very limited in that regard, although he wasn't sure if his Fuinjutsu and calligraphy levels were high enough to learn them. Getting all of Mizuki's equipment would be useful, for all that the man was a louse and a traitor, he had good taste in equipment. The Dai Shuriken was a good addition, as was the katana that he had possessed, but not used against Naruto for whatever reason. The miscellaneous kunai and shuriken would mean he wouldn't have to buy any for at least a month or two, and he now had a spare Hitai-8. The quest regarding Sakura-chan had been something of a relief. He had wondered why he hadn't gotten a notice about failure or success during the whole big lecture, but evidently his power considered that the moment he became a genin was the deadline. The rewards were rather nice, especially that Fuma Shuriken. Saved him a bit of Rio in that regard. Name: Uzumaki Naruto class, the gamer level, 17 next level, 59.93% title, genin, plus 15% EXP to LV25, age, 12 HP, 2000/2000 CP, 2200/2200 STR, 43 STA, 46, plus 10, DX, 40 INT, 41, plus 5, WIS, 37 LUK. Looking at his newly updated status page, Naruto felt a swell of pride. Finally, after 3 failed attempts at graduating, he was a ninja at last. The screen in front of him wavered just then and Naruto blinked. That had never happened before. Before he could do anything else, the status screen snapped out of existence and another one popped up in its place. Congratulations! You have completed the prologue. What? As the prologue is now completed, the gamer will now expand to encompass the elemental nations, rather than just Konohagakure and its environs. What? Due to the technical, metaphysical and spiritual aspects involved, the gamer will be going into version up mode. The interface, stat calculation and jutsu damage calculation aspects, among others, will be updated and improved upon. Unfortunately, this means that you will be unable to access the majority of functions for the gamer during the update duration. What? The estimated time to complete this upgrade is 48:00 hours. Please accept the sincere apologies of the management if this inconveniences you in any way. You will be compensated with a free gift of your choice from a selection of 3 upon completion of this upgrade by way of a proper apology. Have a nice day. This bullshit again? Naruto exploded in a mixture of exasperation, anger and disbelief at being jerked around by his power for what had to be the umpteenth time. Swearing under his breath, Naruto took stock of what he could and couldn't do. He could use jutsu, skills and access the inventory. Everything else was utterly useless. Great. The newly promoted genin groaned. Well, no point crying over spilt milk. As he turned to head to the kitchen, he froze. Standing at the door to the living room was Iruka-sensei and he had a scary smile on his face. So Naruto, he said as he cracked his knuckles. What's this I hear about you playing a prank on the entire shinobi force? The blonde boy had one thought at this situation. This is gonna suck. The next day living room, Naruto's apartment. Yumano Iruka was feeling very much like a right heel at the moment. After he had kicked Naruto's ass for pranking the entire shinobi force, at the time, he'd also felt a small flicker of pride at the boy being able to cause mass chaos so easily without getting caught. That kind of ability would serve him well in the future. He had been summoned to the Hokage's office. There, he had been told the truth. How Mizuki, his friend, had tried to trick Naruto into committing treason. How the blonde boy had, in return, easily caught onto the deception given Mizuki's past animosity and had brought it to the Hokage. And how the crafty old bastard had arranged things so that Mizuki had been given just enough rope to hang himself before seeing him carted off to Anko and Ibiki. More than that, Naruto had fought and defeated Mizuki when the Chunin had tried to kill him. Pride, anger and shame had warred within Iruka. Pride at Naruto, for being cautious, for using his head rather than rushing in like he would have as little as a year ago, for reporting it to the Hokage, and for defeating someone who, by rank, was many times stronger than he was. Anger. Anger at the Hokage for using Naruto as bait for a trap, at Mizuki for turning traitor and trying to kill Naruto, and at himself for not acting sooner to stop Mizuki going down that path. As for the shame. Some of it was for not stopping Mizuki from turning traitor and attacking Naruto, but mostly, he was deeply ashamed of kicking Naruto's ass the previous night without listening to anything the boy said in his defense. Which was why he was here to apologize. Naruto, unfortunately, was pouting at him with a slight twitch in one eye, a largish bump on top of his head from the technique Iruka had used on him the previous day, the one his fellow Chunin sensei jokingly called the Ai no Ikatsu, roar of love, a loud shout, swiftly followed by teleporting in close with a shunshin and a heavy whack across the head. In the end, he'd had to promise to treat the boy to a couple of large bowls of ramen at Ichiraku's before Naruto unbent enough to accept his apology. Anyway, Hokage-sama told me about everything that happened yesterday. Iruka told Naruto after he finished apologizing. And I am very impressed. You've really learned how to use your head rather than just relying on your fists. You not only quickly identified the suspicious actions of a supposed ally and brought them to your superior, but you even managed to successfully turn the trap back on Mizuki and learned a scroll's worth of jutsu to boot. All in all, a very impressive night's work, Naruto. Hihei. Nothing to it but to do it, Iruka-sensei Databayo. Naruto grinned. Do you mind looking over the jutsu that I managed to learn last night and give me some pointers on them? Of course. While technically we're still teacher and student until you're officially been assigned to a Jonin sensei, you're also technically a genin and not under the academy's authority any longer. So the law shouldn't be a problem. Iruka nodded. Chunin sensei weren't allowed to tutor their students outside of class in order to prevent favoritism, or at least heavily mitigate it, as teachers always tended to have favorites, regardless of policy. However, once a student received their Hitai 8, they fell into a bit of a legal gray area until the secondary genin exam administered by their assigned Jonin sensei. While he still couldn't privately teach Naruto any new techniques, offering critique and pointers on improving his already existent skills was well within the bounds. Yada! Naruto cheered. Smiling at his enthusiasm, Iruka followed the boy down to the apartment building's shuriken range and watched as Naruto demonstrated the jutsu he had learned the previous day, starting with the shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. It took Iruka's mind a moment to reboot at the realization that his student had learned an A-rank jutsu that even he couldn't use and, unfortunately, couldn't help him with. Fortunately, the rest were jutsu that the scarred Chunin knew and could give some quite useful pointers on. Posture and throwing technique for the Kage Shuriken no Jutsu, for example, as well as a bit of improvement with directing the wires with the Sashuriken no Jutsu. He'd had to rack his brains for the Shuriken Goshin and Shuriken Ranbu Jutsu since he'd learned those when he was just a fresh genin himself, and it had been several years since he'd had to actively use them. I have to say, I'm impressed, Naruto. The Chunin admitted a couple of hours later. Learning one, maybe two, of those jutsu in a single day is something that most experienced genin could accomplish, but all five over the course of a few hours? You've really been making amazing progress the last few months, but this is simply extraordinarily. Iruka was internally smirking as Naruto blushed and scratched the back of his head awkwardly as he was wont to do when he was praised. The poor boy wasn't used to people honestly praising him. So Iruka-sensei, how are the teams gonna be chosen? Naruto asked, strategically redirecting the conversation. Ordinarily, the class's various teachers would assign the teams based on a combination of requests from the Jonin sensei and their own observations on compatible skill sets and personal synergy. The Chunin replied, allowing the very obvious deflection to pass. This once. The only obvious odd one out would be pairing the Rookie of the Year, the top kunoichi and the lowest-ranking class member together. The theory behind that being that the more skilled pair of genin will help to bring up the abilities of the less capable student. Naruto nodded, having heard that before from the Hokage himself. But this year, thanks to some revelations, I understand that Hokage-sama is choosing the teams himself. Iruka continued more seriously. Standards have dropped at the academy, and I was so busy teaching that I didn't question the change in materials. You were just doing your job, Iruka-sensei, the boy protested. Hands down, you're the best sensei at the academy. Bayo. Thanks, Naruto. The Chunin chuckled, honestly touched at the boy's high opinion of him. But I should have taken my concerns to the Hokage when they first happened. As it is, as I was the one to bring my worries about the traitor Mizuki to Hokage-sama's attention, I'm not going to be punished. Instead, from here on out, the entirety of the academy staff will be made to take at least one mission outside of Konoha every 2 weeks in order to impress upon us the realities of shinobi life and why some things need to be taught in the academy. Cool. So we may be on the same mission someday, the blonde smiled at that. Possibly. Iruka allowed. But most genin do basic D ranks inside of Konoha in order to build up experience at working as a team for quite some time before even high D ranks, like that escort mission that Ayam-chan left on to get ingredients, are made available to them. Aren't D ranks basically chump change missions? Naruto asked, looking concerned. How'll I pay my utilities with those? All shinobi of Konoha get a basic salary, depending on their rank and if they live with a clan or not, in addition to their mission pay, Naruto. Iruka explained patiently. You'll have more than enough to pay for them. Plus, even if you only do one mission a day with your team, there's nothing stopping you from taking a solo mission so long as it's one that lone genin can take. That's a relief. Naruto sighed in relief. Wait, why would being in a clan affect your pay? If you're a part of an active shinobi clan, you generally have to offer up a portion of your pay as a tithe to help support the clan itself. In exchange, the clan generally provides a residence and general utilities and some other benefits for their shinobi. The Chunin told him. That ups the amount they receive slightly to accommodate for it. You, as another example, live alone, with no dependents or caregivers, so the amount you should receive is much higher. If you don't get any pay, let the Hokage know, okay? Gotcha, Iruka-sensei. Naruto agreed. By the way, can I get into the genin's area of the library yet? Afraid not just yet. You have to be assigned to your Jonin sensei and team before you're considered a fully qualified genin. Iruka shook his head. Or rather, not until you pass your Jonin sensei's test. He added silently. Ah man. How am I supposed to use my swords in any kind of real fight with only the self-taught CR crud I've been able to learn on my own? The boy grumbled. You can fight well enough without them, Naruto. Iruka laughed and ruffled the boy's hair again, choosing to ignore the near miss, earning a whine and a pout from the blonde boy. Learning sword styles takes a lot more time than throwing shuriken or using a kunai. Even with your improvements, I doubt that a few extra days of training would change much in that area. Okay, I guess you're right, Iruka-sensei. Naruto sighed. He was willing to bet his gamer abilities would prove that theory wrong. If he could use the damn thing. After chatting for a few more minutes, Iruka left to report to the Hokage. He'd been temporarily transferred to the Hokage's office as his assistant for mission assignments, which was actually a step up from being a teacher in both prestige and pay, until the new school year started in a few months and he was assigned a new class of shinobi aspirants. Naruto, left alone at last, eyed the stupid timer that only he could see, which was counting down to his gamer power coming back online fully. It had barely been 16 hours and he was going nuts wondering exactly why the hell his power needed to version up, whatever the hell that was. Obviously it was some kind of update, but why couldn't it come out and say that? Stupid reality-breaking power. Shrugging, the boy decided to go show off his Hokage to Ayam, who was probably back from her errand by now. As he walked through Konoha, he mentally rolled his eyes at the increased angry glares that the villagers were giving him with the addition of his ninja headgear. Seriously, didn't they have anything better to do than increase the level of his detect bloodlust skill? Granted, it would be damned useful on missions outside of Konoha, but having to constantly deal with that little mental nudge that someone, or rather a lot of someones, were glaring at him from multiple directions with the desire to kill was fairly distracting at first, disheartening after a while, and was currently more than a bit irritating. No sooner had he arrived at Ichiraku Ramen was he swept up in a glomp by Ayam, who was squealing about how proud she was of him for graduating at last. Naruto would have replied, but he was a bit busy suffocating from having his face plunged into his older sister figure's breasts. Ayam, you may want to let him go, Tucci remarked in amusement. Otherwise we'll lose our best customer. Letting out a squeak of shock, the girl released a blue-faced Naruto, who started gulping in sweet, fresh air. Sorry, Naruto-kun, the brunette apologized, red-faced in embarrassment and mortification. It's okay, I am nay. Naruto replied after a moment. Just try not to suffocate me again, any? Sure thing. Now let me see this. Ayam peered at the Hokage. Looks like Irika-san did a good job of looking after it. Congratulations, Naruto-kun. He. Naruto preened at the praise. No going back to the academy for me. Have an Uzumaki special on the house, Naruto. Tucci said, placing a bowl on the counter. An Uzumaki special was, to put it simply, a large bowl with almost every ingredient you could put in ramen included, with an extra thick and nutritious soup. Not being one to pass up free food, especially Ichiraku Ramen, Naruto sat down and tucked in with relish. As he ate, he felt completely at peace. Life was good. The next day, evening training room, Amikage Apartments, ding. Naruto, in the middle of practicing his throwing technique with a handful of kunai, winced at the sound of a bell going off right in his ear. The sudden noise also resulted in him fumbling the kunai he'd been readying, nearly impaling his foot. Yipe! What the? He looked around. Then he spotted the screen that had appeared. Finally. Welcome. Chosen gamer of your world, welcome to the gamer interface, version 2.0. As opposed to the version 1 and version 1.5 that you have worked with before now, this version of the GI has been optimized for your world and its peculiarities, powers and peoples. The following changes have been made to your interface. Experience gain for skill levels will now be rendered as a flat percentage to allow a greater ability to tell how far you are to progressing to the next level at a glance. Daily quests have been removed as a result of your advancement to the genin class and title. They have been replaced by the repeatable quest, D-rank drudgery. Achievements are now available. These are similar to titles in that your actions can unlock them, but they do not grant you any special abilities by possessing them, unless a title of the same name is unlocked at the same time, although you do get rewards of EXP, Ryo and occasionally Jutsu, perks, flaws, special status, attribute points and ninja tools for them being awarded. Say achievements to have your past achievements catalogued and unlocked. The manner in which HP and CP is calculated has been altered to better represent the differences between different characters. HP is now calculated by multiplying a character's STR with their STA, while CP is calculated by multiplying your STA and WS together and adding your STR and INT afterwards. Any bonuses or modifiers to your HP and CP will then be added on. The number of skills per day you can learn via skill absorption has been increased from 3 to 5. The alignment system has been overhauled. Now actions taken can affect it, as well as words spoken. New alignments have been added. The Naruto Bingo book has been unlocked. In this section, information about people that you meet and fight is collated, including stats, skills, jutsu and allegiances. The class system has been restructured. Due to the idiosyncratic nature of your world, this is a lot less important than it would be elsewhere. A class usually dictates the sort of skills that a person can use, but as most people on your world are either samurai or ninja, a decision was made to have the classes mostly act as reinforcing your general chakra and weapon skills, with a few differing abilities thrown in here and there. These are the main upgrades to your interface, but the full list can be viewed at any time. New features added, on the other hand, are waiting to be discovered. Go forth and try to find them. Notice from the management, please select from the 3 options below. This will be your free apology gift for the system going into version up mode so suddenly and without warning. Mastercraft Konoha Chakra Blade, plus, Mastercraft Collapsible Spear, plus, custom set of Shinobi battle armor, plus, feeling his eyes cross from the information overload, Naruto quickly tidied up his kunai and trotted up to his apartment to take it all in. It had been about time for him to call it a night anyway. Eyeing the changes in his living room, he shrugged his shoulders at the change from numbers to a flat percentage. It probably would be easier to tell how close he was getting to leveling up from here on out, but it wasn't an important change, ditto for the removal of daily quests. From the name of the title of the new repeatable quest, dear ranks were the same thing by a different name. The only difference would be that he would actually be getting paid by Konoha for doing them. The achievements part looked interesting, so he opened the right page by saying, Achievements. Achievements in you. Achievements are recognition by the system of you accomplishing a goal, be it so little as finishing basic training, to something as mighty as slaying a great enemy. Most achievements garner small rewards of EXP and Ryo for the one who receives them, but some do not due to their nature, while others will grant a title, special status, flaw, consequence, skill, jutsu scroll or object. Do you wish the gamer system to run through the core IDOS data of your life thus far and unlock the various achievements that you have rightly earned? YN, as if you even have to ask, the blonde boy scoffed, hitting Y without any hesitation. Running core IDOS scan, done. Chronicling achievements, done. Compiling system achievements matching, gamer, user's life achievements, done. Assigning awards, done. Displaying achievements now. Please note that some of these achievements are merely speaking after the fact. The power of human sacrifice. You have had the Kyubi no Kitsune sealed within you, making you one of the 9 Jinchuriki. Rewards/consequences, inability to go above, average chakra control, Kyubi Jinchuriki, special status forced on you, Kyubi Jinchuriki, title made available. Pariah, you are shunned by the majority of people of your hometown due to them knowing of your secret, one you did not even know yourself until recently. Consequence, pariah, flaw forced on you. Watcher from above, some entity is watching over you and others take note when that happens. Reward/consequence, perk, Benton's blessing, gifted to you, increased chances of running into spiritual entities. 3-time repeater, you have failed your graduation test twice and have gone through the Academy's curriculum, as flawed as you now know it to be, 3 times. Rewards, 100 EXP, 500 Ryo. King of Pranksters, you are the acknowledged top prankster in all of Konohagakure, even able to prank the Ansatsu Senjutsu to Kushubutai, ANBU, and get away with it. Rewards, granted, Prankster King, special status. The Orange Menace, you are in possession of a set of loud orange clothing that is highly unlike anything worn by a real shinobi. While not exactly the kinda thing you should wear, in terms of training your stealth, if you can sneak around with this on, you can be almost impossible to find wearing real shinobi clothing. Reward/consequence, eyesore, flaw forced on you, plus 50% to all stealth EXP gains while wearing aforementioned eyesore of an outfit. The gamer awakes, you have been selected as the gamer for your world. Reward, the gamer, title has been assigned to you, the gamer, class has been assigned to you, the gamer, has activated. The basics, you have learned the basics of the gamer. Reward, 200 EXP. Coached by a dolphin, Yumano Irika has given you a revision lesson to repair your damaged foundation of shinobi knowledge. Reward, 100 EXP, an affinity for destruction, you have discovered your first 2 elemental affinities. Reward, Futon, Kyuden, Jutsu Scroll, Doton, Dosekadake, Jutsu Scroll. Landlord, you have been given control of a block of apartments, meaning you have to maintain them, as well as collect the rent. Good luck with that last one. Reward, rent money. Taking a boss like a boss, you have defeated a boss monster. Well done you. Reward, plus 500 EXP, plus 2 attribute points. Clanning up, you have discovered you are a member of a clan. Rewards, granted special status, member of the Uzumaki clan, and perk, loyalty. Target, at least 200 people have directed killing intent at you within a 48-hour period. You may want to avoid them. Reward, detect killing intent, skill scroll. Karma's a bitch, you have made your first karmic alignment choice. Remember, what goes around, comes around. Rewards, 500 EXP, first kill, you have taken your first life at the tender age of 12. What a world. Reward 500 EXP, one-man platoon, you have faced a platoon of enemies by yourself and emerged victorious, with help from their own stupidity, of course. Go you. Reward, plus 5 DX, plus 5 attribute points. The truth, you confronted your surrogate grandfather regarding the truth of your status as a Jinchuriki. Remember that the truth doesn't always set you free. Reward, perfect Jinchuriki host, perk. Bring in a bounty, you have captured a nuke of your home village and handed them in. Reward, bounty hunter, title. 3rd time's the charm, you have finally graduated from the academy. About damn time. Reward, Konohagakure Legacy Hitai 8, Genin, class available, Genin, title available. Again, the information overload was quite bad, so Naruto closed the window and resolved to go over it later in more detail. The next thing he did was pull up his status screen. He wanted to see what the heck his stats looked like now. Name, Uzumaki Naruto class, the gamer, plus, level, 17 next level, 61.12% title, Genin, plus 15% EXP to LV25, plus, age, 12 HP, 4108/4108 CP, 4061/4061 STR, 43 STA, 46, plus 10, DX, 45 INT, 41, plus 5, WS, 37 LUK. Attribute points, 7 special status, member of the Uzumaki clan, passive, plus 5 INT, plus 10 STA, plus 15% EXP to Fuinjutsu, skill, Kyubi Jinchuriki, passive, plus 100 HP, plus 100 CP per level, Prankster King, passive, dash 15% to reputation gains within Konohagakure, plus 10% to EXP gains in Trap, and Stealth, skills. Perks, Benton's Blessing, Outside the Box, Loyalty, Perfect Jinchuriki Host Flaws, Pariah, Headstrong Man, the new way of calculating my HP and CP rocks. Naruto remarked, boggling at the way his HP and CP had almost doubled since the last time he'd checked. It really showed how far he'd come since he'd first opened up his status screen just a few months ago. Another irritating ding rang out all of a sudden. Many apologies, due to the abrupt and disruptive nature of the version up, 2 achievements were missed by the core IDOS scan. Displaying now. Shadow Master, you are the acknowledged master of the Shadow Clone Jutsu, having created more at once than any other person since its creation. Senju Tobarama would be proud. Reward, Shadow Master, perk. Deep Chakra Well, you unleashed an amazing amount of chakra, tapping deep into your burgeoning reserves in a moment of great anger and stress, resulting in improvements to your chakra network and chakra coils. Reward, permanent increase of plus 500 CP, effective special status, Kyubi Jinchuriki, CP increase doubled from here on out. And that was a thing, apparently. Was there more than one being interfering in his life? The Watcher from Above achievement certainly seemed to lean in that direction. Let's see what all of these new perks of mine do. Naruto muttered. Loyalty, passive, your natural disposition is to be very loyal to those you deem worthy of it, as well as to your clan and family. People who know of this loyalty reciprocate it. Mostly. There are always outliers. Grants plus 10% reputation gain with those who know of the reason for your loyalty. There is a variable chance for someone to not be affected by this perk if they believe they have a good reason to do so. The variable is calculated by various factors, such as your reputation with them, your home village, their home village, and a host of other reasons too numerous to list. Perfect Jinchuriki host, passive, you are descended from the Uzumaki clan, which is known for the exceptionally strong life force and powerful, dense chakra of their clansmen. Combined with their descent from the redacted, this makes them, and by extension you, perfectly suited to host one of the 9 Biju. This means that if you hadn't had the Kyubi sealed within you as a baby, you would be able to have it sealed within you right this instant without any negative effects on your health. For your information, most people would have their chakra coils shattered and die from chakra poisoning if even the weakest of the Biju was sealed within them after a certain age without the assistance of an extremely strong/specialized sealing technique. Even then, negative health effects later in life would have been highly likely. You have a 100% internal resistance to the chakra of the Kyubi no Yoko within you. To anyone else, it is utter poison and will kill anyone affected by it in a very painful manner if injected into their chakra network. When fully manifested outside the chakra network, you will still have to worry about its corrosive effects, so proceed with caution. Shadow Master, passive, you have mastered the notoriously chakra-intensive Kage Bunshin no Jutsu beyond any previous user. Not even the Nidaime Hokage could use his own creation to the degree that you do. To reflect this fairly impressive feat, you receive the following bonuses to the Shadow Clone Jutsu. For every clone's worth of CP spent, 2 clones are created. You recover all CP spent as stated above every time 2 clones are destroyed. You have a bonus plus 30% chance to intuit and create jutsu using the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu depending on the situation around you. It now takes 2 strikes from an enemy to dispel a Kage Bunshin unless the hit is to a fatal location. That was all very interesting. What piqued Naruto's interest was that there was a redacted name there. Who were the Uzumaki descended from that the system actually had to censor their name? Duh, it's because I don't know them. He thought a moment later with a mental smack to his head. Obviously the system couldn't give him clues to people he didn't already know or had heard about. He would probably find out from his Gigi after he met his Jonin instructor the next day. Closing the status window, he eyed the 3 choices of items offered by the management, whoever the hell they were, as an apology. He knew that he would have to choose carefully here, so he viewed the 2 that he was more likely to choose. Mastercraft Konoha Chakra Blade. Konohagakure produces standard-issue chakra blades for use by their shinobi forces. A very rare few are created by master blacksmiths which surpass their lesser cousins, designed for use by the village's elite forces. Resembling a larger, more elongated type of kunai, but more akin to a sword, these blades are inscribed with the spiral leaf symbol of Konohagakure at the base of the blade. LV-17 Mastercraft, short weapon. Chakra Weapon Durability 222 Piercing Damage, S** 1.5 Slashing Damage, S plus 20 Bludgeoning Damage, S Special Ability, Chakra Sword Form. This blade is made from chakra conductive metal and inscribed with intricate fuinjutsu. This allows the wielder to channel chakra through it to form a sword that increases its length and damage considerably. When in chakra sword form, the weapon counts as a standard length sword. It can sever chakra threads and its damage chart changes to this: piercing, S** 3, slashing, S plus 40, bludgeoning, S, Mastercraft Collapsible Spear, created by those who wish to use a long weapon without having the burdensome problem of carrying their full size around all the time or sealing it away. The spear more closely resembles a knife in its collapsed form. When extended, it resembles a standard su-yari. While useful, its collapsible nature does make it a great deal more fragile than a true spear. LV-17 Durability, 100 out of 100 Both forms, Mastercraft Collapsed Form, Short Weapon Extended Form, Polearm Piercing Damage, C, S plus 15 E, S** 2.5 Slashing Damage, C, S plus 10 E, S plus 20 Bludgeoning Damage, C, SE, S plus 15 Special Ability, Extend and Collapse. The user can change the form of this weapon between collapsed form and extended form. It takes 3 seconds to change from collapsed to extended, but 30 seconds to go from extended to collapsed. The armor he didn't bother with looking at. While cool looking, there was a reason that the old plate metal armor had been phased out in favor of the flak jackets worn by the Chunin and Jonin these days. While the old-school plate armor offered superior protection to both the main body and limbs, it was heavier and restricted the user's movements too much for any but the most well-trained shinobi to use. The flak jackets protected most of the wearer's vitals while still allowing full mobility and a wide range of motion. There isn't really a choice, is there? Naruto asked rhetorically as he selected the chakra blade. He wasn't someone who used polearms, and he couldn't think of any ninja who did either. Even hammers and axes were more common than spears among ninja. Reaching into his inventory, he pulled out his new blade and tested out its balance with a few swings. It was perfect. He'd have to go to Higarashi's early tomorrow to get his hands on a sheath or holster for it. He wasn't about to carry a sword he couldn't use in combat, Kogetsu Kishiki, around, so this would have to do until he could use it. Better still, as it was a short weapon, he could use it and say that he could because it was so similar to a kunai. Letting out a jaw-cracking yawn, Naruto opened up his status screen again and dumped 4 points into his WIS and the last 3 into his STR. It wouldn't change his HP and CP by too much, but every little helps. Bed. I have a big day tomorrow. Naruto muttered before tottering off into his room. Even with how tired he was all of a sudden, his excitement at what awaited him the next day kept him up for a good hour after retiring. The next day classroom, Konohagakure Ninja Academy. Entering the classroom in his light combat outfit, Naruto smirked as he made his way up to his usual seat in the classroom and sat down. No matter what happened today, there was no chance that he'd come down off of Cloud 9. He had finally graduated. Casting his eyes about, one eyebrow raised as he noticed the strongest ones in the class, mostly clan heirs, were all present. Hyuga Hinata LV-15, Shy Maiden / Hyuga Heiress, Yamanaka Ino LV-15, Yamanaka Heiress / Mindwalker Adept, Haruno Sakura LV-15, Haruno Heiress / Brainiac, Uchiha Sasuke LV-15, Last Loyal Uchiha / Emo Avenger, Inazuka Kiba LV-15, Inazuka Heir / Aspiring Alpha Male, Aburame Shino LV-15, Aburame Heir / Silent Watcher, Akimichi Choji LV-15, Akimichi Heir, Nara Shikamaru LV-15, Nara Heir / Lazy Genius. All of them were level 15 and everyone but Choji had 2 titles that he could see. That last part was something new. Must be because of the version up or something, as when he'd looked at them before the change, he'd only seen one. Other than the ninja-born students, Sakura and himself, almost none of the rest were at the academy student level cap. Oh, 1 or 2 were, but almost all of them were in the 9 to 11 range, with some being level 8, the lazy bastards. What the hell had they been doing, playing old maid instead of training? He made a note to have a word with his Gigi about the ones who had actually put in an effort. They didn't deserve to be bored out of their minds for another year if they failed because of their teammates being lazy. Some of the welcome changes to the classroom mostly revolved around Sakura and Ino not getting into catfights at every possible opportunity. Instead, they sparred, at least once a week, to the point that Irika had to step in as referee. They weren't actually angry or hateful towards each other, but they did get out of hand, exchanging pointers with one another. At least they're half decent at taijutsu now. Naruto thought smugly. He shuddered at how easily he had beaten Sakura way back just after he'd gotten the gamer. Now she was more than able to hold her own, although she could definitely use a taijutsu style that wasn't as widely known as the Hokage style was. Alright class, quiet down. Irika walked into the classroom with papers under his arm as always, which struck Naruto with a bit of sad nostalgia that he wouldn't see the man do that anymore. Looking around the classroom at the faces of his latest students, the scarred Chunin felt the familiar sadness of seeing his students move on. Of course, most would be back thanks to the tests administered by the Jonin sensei, but the ones who had the most potential out of all of them, the clan kids plus Sakura and Naruto, were the ones who he had interacted with and knew the most. For a variety of reasons. Read, Naruto and his pranks, Kiba, Choji and Shikamaru joining him on occasion to bunk out of class, Sakura and Ino for fighting over Sasuke. That sort of thing. Now class, this is the last day you will be in this class, as you have all graduated. He started. I am very proud of you, but unfortunately, new information has come to light regarding various members of staff altering the curriculum to allow more civilian students to pass. The whispering started up, as expected. Shikamaru, despite his lazy posture, sharpened his gaze as he stared at Irika, while most of the rest of the class looked surprised. There were 2 notable exceptions however. Sasuke looked angry, while Naruto was somewhat indifferent, already knowing about it from the Hokage. Quiet please. Irika called out in a monotone. Once they settled down, he continued in a more lively tone. I am unfortunately guilty of not noticing it happening, for which you all have my apologies. Due to the changes discovered, the Hokage has decreed that anyone who returns to the academy following today shall be put through an intensive 6-month catch-up course before being tested again. This is regardless of how many attempts you have had before now, so all of you repeaters can rest easy. A couple of the civilian kids looked relieved. For those of you who remain a shinobi, the standard 1 squad model is being modified. The scarred Chunin continued. Due to the wide gap in what you have been taught to what you should have been taught, the teams will be grouped into a Genin platoon, where you will cross-train with each other's Jonin sensei to fill in the gaps of what you should have been taught. An older Genin squad, the former Team 9, now called Team Guy, will also be included as they are the only Genin squad active from last year's graduates. Questions? Shikamaru? Exactly what have we not been taught? The lazy boy drawled. To give an example, the only graduate in your class present who has blooded themselves against chakra mutations is Uzumaki Naruto. Irika stated with a shrug. The number of changes made to the curriculum is numerous, and while some are obvious in hindsight, several were quite subtle. Those of you from a clan shouldn't be in any need to worry. It is the civilian-born who are really affected by this interference. Was it the teachers who did it or were they bribed to do it? The Narayer asked cynically. I am not at liberty to discuss it, Shikamaru. Irika replied, before adding in a bland voice, on a completely unrelated note, several prominent businessmen have been arrested as of a few hours ago. Whatever might they be accused of, I wonder? That got a few laughs from the kids, although a couple paled at the implication. Let's see. Yes. Irika looked around at the students seriously. The teams that you are currently being assigned are temporary and will be changed to better suit everyone's abilities once you are up to standard. The teams are currently dividing you by what you need help with most, be it taijutsu, genjutsu, ninjutsu, or whatever your greatest weakness is currently. Please try to get along with whomsoever you are assigned with, as we emphasize teamwork here at the academy for a reason. There, that should be enough of a hint for them. I'll now start reading out your assigned teams. They aren't up for debate, nor can they be changed until the Hokage says otherwise, so no complaining that I'm looking at you, Kiba. Irika said quellingly. What? The Inuzuka said innocently. Akamaru sat on his head, yipped something that made the boy roll his eyes. Whatever, Akamaru. Shaking his head, the Chunin started reading out a team number, 3 student names followed by the name of a Jonin. Most of the Jonin sensei were unknowns, so there was no reaction to their names. I wonder what Naruto's reaction will be to his sensei. Irika wondered. Naruto tuned Irika out once he started listing teams made up of civilians. His eyes wandered over the students who were named. Most were around about the same level, with the 3 civilians who were level 15 grouped together. If he were a betting man, Naruto would bet that they'd pass. Team 7, Uchiha Sasuke, Inuzuka Kiba and Aburame Shino, under Jonin Hatake Kakashi. Irika announced. Team 8, Hyuga Hinata, Akimichi Choji and Nara Shikamaru, under Jonin Yuhi Kurenai. Team 9 is still on the rolls from last year. Team 10, Uzumaki Naruto, Haruno Sakura and Yamanaka Ino, under Sarutobi Asuma. There were a variety of reactions to the teams. Sasuke merely grunted, while Kiba groaned and Shino adjusted his glasses. Hinata looked disappointed, while Choji ate more snacks and Shikamaru rolled his eyes and muttered, troublesome, under his breath. Sakura and Ino simultaneously smacked themselves on their foreheads with a groan. Naruto, on the other hand, was delighted. He had Asuma for his sensei and Sakura-chan as his teammate. He let out a whoop of joy. Best squad ever. Why am I with Sasuke? Kiba demanded. You lack discipline, Kiba. Irika explained. Sasuke doesn't subordinate well and Shino isn't sociable. You'll be forced to work on these aspects together. And, before anyone else asks, Hinata, Choji and Shikamaru are together because the first 2 lack confidence, while Shikamaru lacks a drive to succeed, all of which can be worked on. Irika added. Naruto lacks the ability to work with genjutsu, while Ino and Sakura need to work on their taijutsu and ninjutsu outside of the Academy 3 and Traveling 10. Their team was put together to try and teach each other their strong points. Despite the grumbles, most of the graduates seemed resigned to the team makeups. Your Jonin sensei will pick you up here after lunch, so be sure to return in time. He said severely before he smiled. You all dismissed, and I wish you all the best of luck in your careers as Shinobi of the Leaf. As the kids filed out of the class in their teams, Naruto looked over and saw Sakura and Ino glowering at each other. Wincing, he decided to drag the pair of them to Ichiraku's to maybe bond over food or something. Anything was better than this silent cold war going on between them. Lunch is on me, he said as he latched onto an arm apiece as he walked past them. You don't mind ramen, do you? Wadash. Hey, let go, Naruto. Sakura yelped in surprise as she was dragged behind him. What she said? Ino added, trying in vain to get him to let go of her. Nope. If I do that, you'll just go back to scowling at each other. The blonde boy shook his head firmly, dragging both along. There were some advantages to having 2 female teammates that were very lightly built. I could swear I heard a rumor about your face sticking like that if the wind changed or something. And that would be a crying shame. That's a saying, Naruto. The pinkette corrected him, giving up on getting him to let her go. The blonde menace was surprisingly strong for such a shrimp. Parents say that to their kids to get them to stop pulling faces. Looks like it didn't work with you too, what with the scowling you were both doing a minute ago. He shot back easily, keeping up the back and forth banter as he dragged them to his favorite eatery in the entire village. Naruto knew that getting these two to get along wouldn't be easy. Same time Hokage's office, well that was unexpected. Asuma remarked. The former Guardian Ninja 12 member stood in his father's office, watching as two members of his future team were dragged by the last one through Konoha. I half expected the girls to start a catfight or something. Naruto-kun has been something of a stabilizing influence on those two over the last few months. Hiruzen answered as Team 10 reached Ichiraku's. Canceling his Tomgain no Jutsu as Naruto started to order, the old Hokage activated the security seals. So, have you managed to suspend your disbelief regarding Naruto-kun's power yet? Somewhat. The bearded man admitted reluctantly. It would explain how he's improved by leaps and bounds over the last 8 months, and how he's learned so many jutsu. I doubt it's just out of power that treats the world like an RPG? Seriously? So he's not progressed as far as I would like, but further than I anticipated. His father concluded. Initially, when the Hokage had told Asuma about Naruto's gamer power, the other man had thought that his father had been putting him on as some form of payback. Understandable, really, considering that Hiruzen himself would have had a hard time believing it in the other man's place had he not had the ANBU reports regarding Naruto somehow absorbing scrolls and books. Yes, Asuma, I am being serious here. He sighed. Naruto-kun showed it to me directly and I used every trick in the book to break genjutsu, along with several that have never been physically recorded, only for them to have absolutely no effect. Either Naruto-kun has discovered or developed an SSS rank genjutsu of the same sort as those cast by the Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan, Kaleidoscope Copy Will I, and has somehow mastered it without anyone in the village noticing, or he is legitimately in possession of a power that allows him to act as an RPG character in one of those newfangled electronic games. Despite himself, Asuma had to laugh. Konohamaru, his nephew and the Hokage's grandson, had crowed for days about beating his grandfather in some kind of one-on-one fighting game on the console called the Nintendo Ninja Way of Heaven. Yeah, well, it's still hard to swallow, Oyaji. The bearded man grumbled. And why me? I thought you would give Naruto to Kakashi. Because Kakashi would either ignore the power and try to make Naruto-kun ignore it as well, or he would try to get Naruto to share the benefits with his teammates in the name of teamwork, neither of which is a good idea. Sarutobi said seriously. Danzo already sent men after Naruto-kun earlier on this year and that was simply because of his status as the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. News of this latest power of his could make my old teammate lose any restraint he has left in order to acquire the boy. Asuma grimaced. Yeah, Guy was telling me a while back about Naruto standing beside Tenten, in a most youthful manner, against those nuke nin that made it inside Konoha. Why would ignoring it be a bad idea? Naruto-kun showed me the introduction message that his power showed him when he first got a handle on it. Hiruzen replied. It stated that those who ignored the power usually didn't last very long. Or something along those lines, anyway. That isn't something I'd like to take a chance with regarding Naruto-kun. Adding to that, ignoring such an advantageous ability would not only be wasteful but the height of folly. Hiruzen huffed on his pipe slightly. A ninja is one who uses every advantage at their disposal. That was one of the first lessons Tobirama-sensei taught us. I can accept Kakashi's desire to maintain equality among his students, but I will not allow it to hinder one of my shinobi's growth. Fair points, Pops. The younger Sarutobi conceded, knowing better that to argue with his father, particularly when he mentioned the night aim. So what's the next big announcement you have to make, Oyaji? You said yesterday that you were going to announce something to the genin once they passed the real genin exam. I've passed something I call the Genin Housing Act, which mandates that all genin newly graduated from the academy have to move out of their parents' houses and clan compounds to somewhere approved by the Hokage in order to better learn how to balance a budget and live independently. Hiruzen smirked. As it so happens, the only place that has my approval is the Hokage apartments. Clever. Very clever. Asuma nodded. His time in the capital, where political intrigue and backroom dealing were daily occurrences, allowing the calculus of that decision to unfold in his mind. I stay there and so does Naruto. Having 7 clan heirs and heiresses, plus the last loyal Uchiha live with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki under the supervision of your own son will show everyone how seriously you are treating this law, and the presence of so many in one concentrated location will allow you to keep several ANBU teams constantly stationed in the area, which will keep Danzo and his ilk from getting any more stupid ideas. I have to wonder how you got Hyuga Hayashi to sign off on it though. By pointing out that Hinata-chan will be just as safe in the Hokage apartments as in the Hyuga compound, if not safer. The Hokage replied calmly. The ANBU Corps may not have any Hyuga, even branch family Hyuga, in their ranks, but they are far more capable as guards and sentries than Hyuga clansmen. Part of their duties involves protecting the most vital locations in Konoha, after all. That made Asuma nod. As good as he knew he was, even after his long stint as a glorified bodyguard to the fire daimyo, the younger Sarutobi knew that against even one squad of ANBU, he would be hard-pressed to hold them off, let alone win. The plan that his father had for the Hokage apartments would have it ringed by 5 squads at all hours of the day and night. That was just a single squad less than the number on patrol in and around the Hokage Tower itself. Well then, looks like things are going to get interesting indeed. The bearded man muttered before he looked at the clock. Almost time. I'd better go and pick up my new squad. Wish me luck, Oyaji. I doubt you'll need it, Naruto-kun knows you and isn't likely to pull and pranks on you. Yet. The Sandaime smirked at his son, who hid a slight flinch of concern. As his son left the room following the deactivation of the security seals, Sarutobi leaned back in his chair and sighed. Getting the GHA through the council hadn't been quite as easy as he had made it sound, mostly because of the Inoshikacho's wives coming and nagging at him. Gods, getting Nara Yoshino to stand down had been more strenuous than most of the fights he had taken part in during the prime of his life. Unexpectedly, Yamanaka Saori had been the first to agree with him that it was needed after he explained his own arguments and answered a few questions, with Akimichi Chosa's wife falling in shortly afterwards. Under pressure from her 2 friends and her Kage, Yoshino had finally surrendered under the condition that she would visit her son weekly to make sure he wasn't falling into bad habits. Well now. Let's see what you'll do now, Naruto-kun, the old Kage murmured, once again activating the Tomgain no Jutsu and peering into the crystal ball, seeing Naruto walking back to the academy with Sakura and Ino following behind him, this time without the blonde boy dragging them by the arms. The old man smirked as he settled in to watch what he was certain would be a good show. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to like and subscribe, and don't forget to share this video with your friends. Guys, make sure to help the author by visiting the link in the description. This is Fox Sage, and I'm signing off.